Welcome to Green Building Matters, the podcast that matters for green building professionals. Learn insight in green buildings as we interview today's experts in LEED and WELL. We'll learn from their career paths, war stories, and all things green, because green building matters. And now our host, and yes, he has every LEED and WELL credential. Here's Charlie Cichetti.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the Green Building Matters podcast. I'm your host, Charlie Cichetti, and today it's going to be a little different format. We're not going to bring someone in and talk about their career. Today, I want to talk to you about WELL and Fitwel, the two programs we have in the marketplace for our new and existing entire buildings, our new and existing interior spaces, and even our core and shell projects. Right now, the wellness real estate movement is upon us. I'm excited about it. I'm a WELL AP, I'm WELL faculty. A lot of the classes I'm teaching all over have to do with the WELL building standard, but also, hey, what's this other program, Fitwel? And so today I want to take the next, say, 30 minutes and give you some cliff notes on WELL and Fitwel, what building types is each program in their current form, because keep in mind, WELL and Fitwel have only been around for about 3.5 years. In their current form, what building types are a better or maybe a little more easy fit at this time? We'll talk a little bit about costs. We'll talk about some early adopters, and then just, again, give you the cliff notes so you can go back and think about, with your projects, with your clients, how far away are we currently when it comes to WELL or maybe Fitwel? And at the end of the day, we need to use these programs as guidelines. This is where all the research shows we should be focused when it comes to health and wellness and what we design, build, and operate, and now have conversations about HR policies. We'll even talk a little bit about fitness and nourishment and safety. So excited to just meet today, taking you through, talking a little bit about WELL, Fitwel, giving you some resources, and just carrying on the conversation. I do wholeheartedly believe that LEED is going strong, green buildings, and the USGBC really focus on reducing our impact on the environment. Yes, we have a category for IEQ, indoor environmental quality, and that's a good segue over here to WELL and Fitwel, where we're focused on people, the people that are at the school, at the church, at the office, in their home. How do we have buildings that actually produce more productivity, less absenteeism, more presenteeism? Love that word. Because we've got disengaged workers, dehydrated workers, et cetera, et cetera. How do we get into adjusting our policies and designs so that we can have healthier workplaces and just overall a focus on health and wellness with all of our different building types? So it should be a fun chat. Yes, if you've gone for a LEED certification, you're going to get about a 30% head start, in my opinion, towards, say, the WELL building certification. But a lot of you are going to have to start getting comfortable with what you do on the base building, the systems, the lighting, even some of the base building policies like green cleaning, green pest control. That's only going to get you so far in this program. And then the rest of it is we've got to have conversations about behavior and HR policies. So I want you to keep in mind as we go through WELL and Fitwel, what do you have to do? What's optional? And now there's two programs here that are really gaining a lot of momentum in this wellness real estate movement. So hope you enjoyed today's episode, and let's talk WELL and Fitwel. So when it comes to the WELL building standard, this program, this rating system was developed by Delos, D-E-L-O-S, Paul Shalla and his team. And when you hear Paul speak, he says that they literally took architects and doctors and crammed them in a room and made this program. I love the program. As I've mentioned, I think it's really pushing us to, take a better look at our air, our water, our lighting. What conversations are we having around fitness and nourishment? A lot of us that are designers or contractors or real estate professionals or consultants, we haven't really had to have some of those conversations. Let's set up the occupants, those that are going to be in the building, the companies that are going to be in that building or that tenant space, to have better HR policies as well, so that we really have a better focus on wellness. So Delos invented the well building standard, but they quickly spun off the IWBI, the International Well Building Institute. So I want everyone to remember. So on the lead side, we have the U.S. Green Building Council, the USGBC. They're a nonprofit based in Washington, D.C. They invented LEED, and they keep it updated. On the well side, we have the IWBI, the International Well Building Institute, and now they keep the well building standard updated, advocate, and help it grow globally. So USGBC is behind LEED, IWBI is behind well, but technically it was started by Delos. Both Delos and IWBI are based in New York City, but IWBI has an office in Washington, D.C., and then some remote colleagues now around the world to help grow the program. I told you we're going to talk about the well building standard, and then we'll also talk about Fitwel. So now another program that your project could pursue is called Fitwel, Fitwel. You can learn more at fitwell.org. But this is a CDC, right? The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, based in Atlanta, Georgia, near Emory University. It's a CDC and a GSA program. It was a joint initiative by the CDC and the GSA. And, Fitwel really provides the guidelines for designing, constructing, and operating healthier buildings. And it's administered by the Center for Active Design. Okay, they're responsible for the Fitwel program, its updates, and the third-party certification. That's a little different than LEED and Well, who has GBCI. Now I'm throwing a lot at you right now. Some of you are familiar with these entities, but GBCI is the Green Business Certification, Inc. They give out our LEED and Well exams, and they certify our LEED and Well projects. Let me paint that picture one more time. If you have a LEED project, the USGBC keeps LEED updated, but our projects are certified through gbci.com. On the well side, we have IWBI, the International Well Building Institute, that now is keeping well updated and advocated for. But those projects would be certified by GBCI, and as you'll learn, a well assessor that does the actual performance testing, which makes well different than LEED and some other programs out there. But on the Fitwel side, it's all in one. The entity behind the program that really keeps it updated, but also certifies it, that's the Center for Active Design. How about some statistics for you? As of the timing of this podcast recording on the Green Building Matters podcast, let's just call this early May 2018, there are 92 well-certified projects, 728 well-registered projects around the world. There are 2,880 well APs, well-accredited professionals, and another 2,200 registered to take the well AP exam. There are 202,000 LEED professionals over the last 17, 18 years. On the well AP side, 2,800 and counting. Very exciting. So a lot of growth with well. A lot of projects registered, curious, a lot of teams learning about this premier wellness standard. What should we do? How's it going to affect my project? And then go get the credential, though, because there are not a lot of professionals yet. A lot of curiosity, a lot of people studying for this 100-question multiple choice exam right now. And of course, we have great well study tools on gbes.com. But let's compare that over to Fitwel. Let me give you some numbers on the Fitwel program. So right now there are 400 projects that are certified or in progress, another 600 that are committed. So we're in that 400 to 600 total range. There are a lot of Fitwel ambassadors, 600 Fitwel ambassadors. While you might not study and take a closed book exam at a local testing center, some of you might want to look into becoming a Fitwel ambassador. We can put that link in our show notes here for the podcast. But that would be you, the individual, and that helps take that information back to your company. So I know I'm throwing some terminology at you, but Fitwel, we're seeing growth on that side also, and it is an international program. I think LEED is the premier program if you're going to go for a green building certification, and that program is going strong for new construction, for existing buildings, on down to interiors and homes and neighborhoods. So LEED, every day there's about 2.2 million square feet certified. That program is going strong. It is shifting towards performance and really growing globally. Well, is kind of winning out as the premier program. There's a lot of advocacy that this is a little harder, raising the bar, but now we need to focus not just on being good for the environment. Let's really focus on what our buildings are doing to the health and wellness of our occupants, whether it's a home, a school, an office building, whatever building type it is. So we're seeing a lot of growth and curiosity around well. But here at the Green Building Matters podcast and at gbes.com, we want to make sure we're showing you both options. And that's kind of shined a light on Fitwel. We're seeing especially some office building owners as an early adopter of the Fitwel program. As a well consultant, I have some clients that are pursuing well, some that are pursuing Fitwel. But at the end of the day, I'm always going to coach them on, let's have an answer for wellness real estate right now. We're doing a good job with Energy Star. We're doing a good job with LEED certification. And let's keep those up. Let's continue to raise our certifications over the years there. But when it comes to wellness, let's make sure we have, health and wellness programs and policies, wellness fairs at our buildings. If you want to pursue the certifications, though, this is the test. If we're not quite able to go for a well certification and the well building standard, let's set some longer term goals there. We'll see how well we'll iterate with version 2. We're on well version 1 right now. And maybe let's get an early win with the Fitwel program. And let's go for a Fitwel certification, at least on one building, maybe a small group of buildings, so that we can say, we are following well and Fitwel. We're going to get some certifications now. And then we want to ultimately earn the well building certification. Now, that talk I just mentioned, that's for existing multi-tenant office, okay? You got to understand, I spend a good amount of my time going for a LEED for existing building certification, say in New York City or Washington, D.C. or Boston or San Francisco. And I love greening of existing buildings. What happens with these newer programs is they might not be a fit all, right? And that's definitely the case here with well and Fitwel. So I want to help you navigate a little bit what's happening with these programs. In my team's opinion, what product types, what building types are a better fit for Fitwel right now, are a better fit for well right now. But what do you need to know on a high level so you can go have these conversations with your clients to encourage them? We need to do something with wellness. We've been doing this and this and this as a best practice in our design and our operations. However, we need to get the certification. We need to raise the bar and do more. And there's 2 certifications our projects can earn right now. So I want to arm you with what should you be talking about with your clients. And don't wait until you have a project come across your desk that says, well, let's do well. Then you'll be scrambling and then having to learn about it at that time. Instead, look at a project you just finished or look at a project that's actually going right now and ask your design team. Ask your MEP engineers, for example, how far away from this well feature are we? And you can send them that language. What would we have to do? What would that cost? So be having the talks now. I'm going to challenge all of you to be well ready. And depending on your building type, you might want to go ahead and try to pursue, be an early adopter, get that great press, that great marketing, for being an early advocate of the well building standard or maybe Fitwel. So again, as of the recording time for the podcast here today, we've got over 400 Fitwel projects that are either certified or in progress. And on the well side, though, if you go to wellcertified.com, you scroll all the way to the bottom, we have 92 well certified projects, 728 well registered around the world, 32 countries, that add up some big buildings in there, a total of 153 million square feet already kind of in the hopper going through this well building certification. About 2,800 well APs. And I mentioned some of you might want to become a Fitwel ambassador, and you can check out more information there on fitwell.org. There are over 600 Fitwel ambassadors. The green building movement is going strong. I think the LEED certification it continues to be the program to pursue, if at all possible. Now we have the wellness conversation. That is this chapter we're in now and for the next few years as wellness real estate plays out. Keep in mind, wellness real estate, so to speak, it's for the people, okay? On the well building standard, we have concepts. We have different categories that cover air, water, nourishment, light, fitness, comfort, and mind. There are 105, if you're doing the well for new and existing buildings features, line items you could pursue. There are a lot of the items you have to do. Those are called preconditions, kind of like a prerequisite on a LEED project. And then there's optional items where we could really push our health and wellness on a project to try to get to gold or even platinum. Those are called optimizations. Now, on a LEED project, where do we get the most points? A lot of you know that. The biggest category is energy and atmosphere. Heavily weighted, 33 to 35 points, depending on which LEED version for new construction or existing building program you're in. So energy and getting cars off the road and saving on our carbon emissions, that's how LEED is weighted the most. But on a well project, in the well building standard, air. Air is the biggest category. A lot of things we have to do, several items that are optional that we really could push for better air quality because, sick building syndrome and the fact that air quality leads to so much illness and deaths across the world. So air is the biggest category within the well building standard. Yes, there are some things you have to do. Those are called preconditions. One of the most interesting parts of the well building certification process is the performance verification. Someone will actually come out to your project and test actual performance on your air quality, water quality, acoustics, right? Your lighting and light levels. They'll also do some additional visual inspections. And so the well building standard prides itself that there is performance verification that will have to occur at the end of the project. We have to take our conversation and go from not just designing and building green, operating a green building, but now behavior. We've got to take a look at some HR policies. We're not going to cover all those today, but on the well building standard, does the occupant, does the company reimburse for Fitbits and Apple Watches? Do they chip in towards the gym if you go 50 times to the gym in a 6-month period? Do we have conversations about what we did for health and wellness in our office? Here's how that can affect you. Here's how you can participate. Do we have the right amount of stand-up desks? How good is that drinking water that people are going to have access to? But how do we promote people to hydrate? Because most Americans in the workforce are dehydrated throughout the day. So I could go on and on. Some of those items I rambled off are required, and some of them are optional in the well building standard. So I suggest all of you just get a little more familiar with the well building standard. What do we have to do? Where could we really be pushing even more for health and wellness on our projects? Use the well building standard as guidelines. Okay, it's got backing from the Mayo Clinic, the Cleveland Clinic, a lot of research from the Institute of Medicine and the World Health Organization. There's the Well Living Lab in Minnesota, where we're actually seeing a lot of the testing happening on all these different building health and wellness best practices. And what does the data show? We've got 17, 18 years worth of LEED buildings. So we've got a lot of research on, do LEED buildings cost less to operate? Are they more profitable? What does it mean? With the well building standard, you can also have AAPs, alternative adherence path. And what that means is maybe there's a certain intent for one of the well line items, one of the well features, but your project can get there a little bit differently. We want more well projects out there. The folks at IWBI and GBCI, they want to see how's the marketplace accepting this? Can we make some small exceptions? So if your team thinks you're meeting the intent, if there's just one item that might prohibit you from going for a well certification, have the conversation with your well assessor, with IWBI, and can we get there? We need more well projects in the marketplace. So I'm a big fan of this program. It's growing, ton of curiosity, and in a minute I'll talk a little bit more about in its current version, well, version 1, what building types are really able to fit. As we transition over to talk about Fitwel, they have 7 health impact categories. Impacts community, reduces morbidity and absenteeism, supports social equality for vulnerable populations, increases physical activity, promotes occupant safety, provides healthy food options, and instills feelings of well-being. So 2 great programs. We're talking wellness real estate. And let's just give you an update on what's happening in the marketplace right now. At this time, and this is just opinion, again, your project, your client may want to go for one or the other or both certifications. I really think you need to have an answer for wellness right now. Make sure you have a high-performing green building, Go for a LEED certification, build on that, maybe go for WELL or Fitwell or both. Now, some think, is WELL competing with LEED? And it's not. They really go hand in hand. Again, LEED is focused on resources and the environment, and yes, a better building, a better place to go to school or church or work. But that's just that IEQ section, which now gets expanded into the entire WELL building standard. So they are partnered very closely through GBCI. Rick Fedrizzi led the LEED movement in the U.S. Green Building Council for many, many years, over 20 years. He's one of the co-founders of the U.S. Green Building Council and LEED. And just a couple of years ago, he moved over as the CEO of the International Well Building Institute. So here's Rick, who's done a great job growing a team and then growing a certification program. He grew LEED. Now he's over and pushing the WELL certification movement. Mahesh is the new CEO of the U.S. Green Building Council, and he's growing LEED globally and performance-based. You've heard some of our talks about that, and actually you can catch Mahesh on one of our earlier podcast episodes. What a great interview that was. And that's actually episode number 4. Make sure you go check that out on the Green Building Matters podcast. Remember, you can actually go to gbes.com/podcast and stream those through your computer, browser, tablet, or you can go on iTunes. And now we've got some of our podcasts going out on Google Play and some other channels. And so it's just exciting to see Rick Fedrizzi grow the team at IWBI and grow the WELL building standard. But they don't compete with LEED. They're trying to go hand in hand. Right now, and again, this is just opinion, in its current form, WELL and the WELL building certification, where you can earn silver, gold, or platinum with the performance verification, you know what? It scales down nicely because the fees are based on square footage and your location and which program you're going after. It scales down nicely to core and shell, out of the ground. Commercial interiors, owner-occupied properties would really benefit from a WELL certification. Really advanced sustainability leaders. They want to be out in front. Commercial kitchens, some universities that maybe have wellness, or some medical universities that really need to prove that not only is this a great place to learn about health and wellness, look, we're practicing what we preach. So we're seeing some universities go for the WELL building standard. Some retail spaces, again, thinking that tenant improvement. We're seeing growth with WELL across Canada, some financial institutions, TD Bank, Wells Fargo, and some others. Even though this is a U.S.-based program, it is being used overseas. In China, big growth. In Australia, some early WELL projects. And then I'd say hospitals. Over on the Fitwel side, we're seeing some growth with multi-tenant existing office buildings of varying sizes, but especially larger buildings, because Fitwel is a flat rate to go through that certification program when it comes to your fees. WELL is based on square footage. If you have a very large building, the fees can really get up there, and then it's hard to have that real estate conversation you're used to, maybe putting in LED lights or a VFD, a better HVAC system. Like, there's something that reduces operating costs. It's an immediate payback. That upgrade that might have cost a couple $100,000, now there's an immediate payback. Well, what's happening on the WELL certification side, there's not necessarily a cap on those square footage fees. So if you have a 2 million square foot building in New York City, next thing you know, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars just in soft costs. So what's happening, again, these are two great programs. In their current form, WELL is scaling down, at least fee-wise, and what would you have to modify to have that really awesome health and wellness focused project? It's scaling down to commercial interiors, core and shell out of the ground. Owner-occupied properties are really taking a look at this because that helps them with recruitment, less absenteeism, right? They're going to get all the benefits of a more productive team. It helps them be competitive and attract talent. It's a very competitive market out there for attracting talent. And don't forget about your higher ed and your hospitals. So we're seeing a lot of growth with WELL there, but very, very large buildings, especially multi-tenant large buildings, it's hard to justify the cost of WELL. Don't get me wrong. I have some clients taking a really hard look at it. They want to be a champion, and they want to find a way to get there. And there's some talks with GBCI and IWBI. Can we do a portfolio? Are there some savings if you do a group of buildings, et cetera, et cetera? And those talks are playing out. But Fitwel, and if you go to fitwell.org, we're seeing some early adopters. Kilroy Real Estate out of California, they're a great landlord there. We're seeing a little bit of Vornado getting picked up in some of their portfolio. So those are some pretty large office owners that have multi-tenant buildings, and they're trying to find a fit for Fitwel. But it's also good for government buildings, okay? Fitwel, of course, being a CDC and GSA program, had a large pilot, and that's where it really got its start, was within some government-occupied buildings. Now, if you work for the government, you're going to have a healthier place to come to work that's really promoting being active, promoting safety, promoting wellness. And again, on the Fitwel side, we're seeing some growth, multi-tenant buildings, maybe for large buildings that would rather go the flat rate at this time, and then government buildings. They have a partnership with BREEAM out of the UK, so some of that can integrate. On the well side, though, it's a longer list of what types of projects would be a good fit for the well building standard. You just have to take a look at, like you do with LEED, where's the business case? But my advice to you is it's not just about the normal real estate conversation anymore. It's different silos. You've got to talk to, can we reduce our health insurance premiums? Maybe we have 3,000 people in a building. And, can we get a discount from our health insurance provider if we go for the certification? We really do more advanced health and wellness focus, not just on the base building, but with our policies. What can we do when it comes to recruitment and marketing? And what does this mean for us? So you've got to have different conversations in order to get approval to go for the well building certification. But to all of those listening that are thinking of going for a certification on their next project, like I said, think about a recent project, think about the project you're finishing up, how close to well or how close to Fitwel are we? Make sure you're reading these standards as guidelines. For example, the two programs, if you were to do an overlay, what they have in common. So hint, if there's two wellness real estate programs in the marketplace right now, and here's what they have in common, that means you need to get on it when it comes to natural views, daylighting and views, walk-off mats, no smoking, promoting gardens, promoting adequate and safe use of fitness equipment, getting a walk score for your building. Not just a bike rack and a shower, but a really solid, bicycle storage area with bike tools and air pumps. Really show you're not just throwing out some bike racks, like you're embracing that you want people to ride a bike to work. Active furnishing, so stand-up desks, right? Sit stand, treadmill desks. Just really more advanced IAQ, indoor air quality, promoting hydration, on down this list. So those are the ones that have overlap. But where the two programs are different, here's just a few examples. On Fitwel, we'll get additional credit for AEDs, for defibrillators on each floor that are tested regularly. We'll get additional credit for free water in cafes and within sight of a vending machine, for adequate outdoor lighting, and there's actually some specifications to hit there. Do we maintain a schedule of certified first responders to be present at the building during work hours? So you can see Fitwel is even more on the preparedness side, got a little more push on the safety side, but really promoting people to be active. And then we do take a look, though, at air quality and fitness and giving people access to better food choices. On the well side, just to show you what would be different, it's really heavy on performance verification with air, water, light, and I mentioned acoustics. So we're actually going to do the testing at the end of the project there with the well assessor. But we take a better look at the air category. It's just much larger, right? Moisture management, doing the air flush out, some things that have come over from LEED when it comes to the more advanced filtration. With food, though, we really push to label for food allergies, reduce our serving sizes. If we're going to have the water fountains where we promote the good drinking water, we've got to really clean those on a regular basis. There's specs in there within well. What should we do there? Promoting more of beauty and design and biophilia, the integrated design. And so I think that both of these programs are excellent. You can see there's some differences. The main differences, though, would be Well has the performance verification. And again, at this time, because this is ever changing, Well has quarterly addenda updates. Well version 2 is being worked on now. We'll get a good glimpse of that in 2018. And by 2019, we'll be able to use Well version 2, which will better accommodate for hopefully existing office buildings, for example, that are multi-tenant, not just owner-occupied. The concepts, the categories will expand to 10 total concepts. So there'll be kind of a breakout of sound, temperature, materials, community, some new overall categories there. And there'll be some localized metrics and more simplified scoring. And so we'll get some more direct point values. So look for Well version 2 in the future, but Well version 1, hopefully your project can go through it now, do a Well gap analysis, fill out a Well checklist or scorecard. Here's where we're at. Here's what we're already doing. Here are some of the items that, maybe they've been getting valued engineered out of projects. We need to keep those in. We need to fight for those. These are the conversations we need to be having. Let's be one of the first to get this Well certification for our client in this region for this type of building. When it comes to the pros and cons, Fitwel Pros can be less expensive, a little easier to use. There's no prerequisites, but you still have to strategize. Like, where are we going to excel to go for the 1, 2, or 3 stars? It's created by the GSA and the CDC, so it definitely has a strong credibility there. Through many years of research, your company, if you're going to put through portfolios at a time, can become a Fitwel champion, and then you can become a Fitwel ambassador as an individual professional. The Fitwel cons, it's less stringent than Well, meaning that you may not make as many improvements to your building as you'd be required to do for the Well building standard. And, since Fitwel is a little less stringent, the market has got to understand, is that good enough? And still, my advice is to go down this wellness path. How far away from each program are you? If you want to get an initial certification, you weigh them out against each other. But the Well building standard is the more prestigious certification program at this time. So on the Well building standard side, the pros, it's likely to require some improvements. So you're going to be pushed to get into a healthier and more wellness-focused building. There's just more things you have to do out of the gate. It's more comprehensive, therefore it's becoming known as that more premier program. The teams behind it, more clout globally. If you want to get the latest and greatest, even though Fitwel is an excellent program, and again, we're doing that on projects. Well has definitely got the high-level decision makers' attention and has big marketing behind it. Good credibility, right? Created by Delos, research from the Mayo and Cleveland clinics. But we have to do that performance testing. So it's a pro in that you're actually going to have someone come out and verify, and there's more accountability from the design, the construction, to the handover of the operations. I think a lot of LEED projects that were designed to be, say, LEED Platinum, out of the ground, LEED BD plus C, right? Building, design, and construction. This is going to be a very green building. Sometimes there's that gap in the handoff, the training to the operating team. How do you operate this Tesla, for example? When it comes to the Well building standard, there's a lot more follow-up there because we'll do the actual performance testing after occupancy, and we'll see, are we running okay now that we've been moved in here for a month or 3 months. The cons, though, at this time with the Well building standard, it can be, and it is more expensive than a Fitwel certification, depending on what size and type project you have. But there not being a cap on square footage for your very, very large buildings, the fees alone can just be very, very costly. But there could be some capital improvements you need to make to your existing building, or say it's a new construction or tenant build out. You've got to take a look at the more advanced UV light on the coils. Maybe can we have carbon filters in the ducts? Can we have the MERV 13 filters? How good is our lighting? What are we doing when it comes to overall brightness? And what are we doing for glare control? So just take a look at those items you have to do and see how far away from Well your project is. So those are just a few of the cons. Now, I think they're both fantastic programs. We gave you our opinion on which building types, are a good fit right now. When it comes to the actual certification fees, Fitwel is $500 to register your project, $6,000 flat rate to certify your project of any size and type. So that's attractive. But well is more prestigious, and what of course, the marketplace is thinking we need to work towards. Those fees, the registration fees range from $1,500 to $10,000, depending on the type and size of the project. Certification fees begin at $4,000 and range from 8 to 23 cents a square foot. Again, though, if you do volume pricing, you can get some discounts. The performance verification, though, can be from $9,000 to another 15 to 35 cents a square foot. So next thing you know is, depending on the size and type of your building, the well certification fees can really, for some projects, a little cost prohibitive. So I want to encourage everyone here to just take a look at these two programs. It is the talk of the town. If you want to go for a certification on one of your projects, you want to just go ahead and look at what do we have to do and what's optional for each one of these. For a Fitwel program, Fitwel certification, of course, there's 1, 2, or 3 stars. So you'd say, hey, what's the minimum we'd have to do? What's the right combination to get enough points for the 1 star? So think of that as the minimum. What path can we use to get there? When it comes to well, look at all the preconditions that are applicable to your project. We didn't get to go into too much detail today, but let's say you have a large office building, but you're not going to have a restaurant or cafeteria that's under your control. Well, you can actually skip past a lot of the nourishment category. We still want to encourage tenants. Here's what they should do if they're having regular food service. But when it comes to this is just not applicable NA, then you don't have to worry about that for that well project at that time. With well, you do have to recertify every 3 years, and that's something else to consider. So just wanted to go through well versus Fitwel. What are the current statistics? What building types at this time are using these two programs? And again, though, let's do a good job with our LEED certifications or Energy Star certifications. You have to have an answer for wellness. It's coming out as fast. If you want to track the early adopters of these programs, we've got a really good webinar we did with some of the early adopters. You can check that out on our website. We'll put the link below. But you also really just want to focus on learning more and using these as guidelines. So in today's podcast, thanks for listening all the way through here. I know some of you listening are already more advanced when it comes to, you've already earned your well AP, and hopefully we share some similar opinions here. If you have any buildings that are going through well or Fitwel, shoot us an email. Shoot me an email, charlie@gbes.com. We'd love to showcase that, do a case study, get your team some exposure. Hey, here's an early wellness win. Here's what they did. Wasn't that bad? You can do it too. Here were some of the challenges. Let's be open about where our challenges were and the lessons learned. So if you have any projects you'd like for us to highlight, we'd love to have that conversation and get that out here to the audience. And again, if you want to learn more, go to wellcertified.com, and you can scroll all the way to the bottom, click on projects, see some of the latest details, who's doing it. And on the Fitwel side, fitwell.org, those will be your main resources here. I'm a fan of both programs, but I think as a consultant, it's important to show your client the options, the pros and cons, and guide them with the decisions. And just keep in mind, well version 2 will be out before too long, and that means that some building types that right now aren't an ideal fit maybe can more easily fit into the well building standard in the near future. But I do agree that is the program that we all want to strive to implement those best practices, all that medical research. So study up on well and Fitwel, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Green Building Matters podcast. Thanks, everyone, and have an awesome week. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Green Building Matters podcast. At gbes.com, our mission is to advance the green building movement through best-in-class education and encouragement. Remember, you can go to gbes.com/podcast for any notes and links that we mentioned in today's episode, and you can actually see the other episodes that have already been recorded with our amazing guests. Please tell your friends about this podcast. Tell your colleagues. And if you really enjoyed it, leave a positive review on iTunes. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on next week's episode.